I bet you've heard of Aputure lights, or maybe even used this one, but there are so many companies putting out similar pocket LED lights, and the question is, does this MC still light up the competition? Today we're going to be comparing the brand new FalconEyes Pockelite F7 II RGBW LED light, that's a mouthful, against the super popular Aputure MC RGB light. I'm going to go over all the good things and the unmet potential. Let's dive in. Now off the top, I bet you're asking, why am I comparing these two specific lights? One's a 12-watt light with over 1200 lux, and the other one's a 5-watt light with about 400 lux at the same distance, half a meter. And what about the FalconEyes F7 Mini? Isn't that supposed to be the competitor to this Aputure MC? Well, to be transparent, FalconEyes provided me with the F7 II, this one right here, free of charge to test out, and I've heard great things about FalconEyes lights, so let's figure out together if it's worth adding to your kit. And also, so you know, neither FalconEyes or Aputure is paying me anything to make this video, so my thoughts and opinions are strictly my own, and there's timestamps in the description so you can jump to just the section that you're curious about. First and foremost, the FalconEyes F7 II smoked the Aputure MC in my test for battery runtime. The F7 II is giving me just over 3.5 hours of full power at 5600 Kelvin, whereas the Aputure MC pretty much cuts off consistently right around the 2-hour mark, also running full power at the same color temperature. This F7 runtime is actually an hour longer than they post in their specs list, so I thought it was worth noting. Nice job, FalconEyes. The Pockelite F7 II is also, obviously, it's a larger light. It has a 3000 milliamp hour battery compared to the 2600 milliamp hour battery that's in the MC, which clearly helps it last longer when it's running off its built-in battery. They both use a USB-C type cable to charge, and you can actually use that cable to keep the charge and the power going during a shoot that lasts longer than a couple hours, which is pretty nice. The main difference here is that the FalconEyes uses quick charge technology and the MC uses power delivery. They're both great and they can help you charge up quickly, so it's nice to know that neither company slacked there. The other big difference is that with charging, the Aputure MC lets you wirelessly charge. So if you have any wireless QI charger that you maybe already have for your phone, you can use that. And that also comes in really big and handy when you have a case of them. They have a case that you can purchase as well if you get like 4 of them together and you don't want to deal with all the cables and you're lighting up several accents across a whole set. The FalconEyes F7 II does not support wireless charging. And you probably already realize this now, but both of these compact portable lights, they're fully RGB. So one thing you can do is create color contrast easily in the HSI mode of each light by setting the hue to opposite ends of the color wheel. What you do, it's really simple. You just picked one color that you like on one of them, and then you subtract 180, 180 degrees. You turn that dial, you set that in on the other light, and you're set with a perfect complementary color combo that should help make your scene pop. This is where you see so many movies with teal and orange. You know, there's orange from like the actor's face and it just pops away from, you know, the complementary teal color that's in the background in the rest of the scene. This can be done with warm and cool gels and color grading, but now you can actually use the HSI modes that are in these to mimic the look of Hollywood or maybe even better it. The output power coming out of these lights is another big difference on paper, although maybe it's not such a big deal in real life when it's used like as an accent or a background light. The FalconEyes F7 II, it measures 1200 to 1600 lux at half a meter, and the Aputure MC, it's 400 for the same distance, so 1/3 to 1/4 the amount of light. What's interesting though is that unless you're really wanting to use this as a key light, I don't think there's a huge difference and it's a huge deal. The MC can light up a background corner in most situations just fine, even though it's smaller with less power. Speaking of how small the MC is, I find that to be one of its biggest strengths. The Aputure MC is about the size of a Nolan Ryan baseball card. Check that out. And it only weighs 130 grams. It's super light. Versus the FalconEyes F7 II, which you can see here, is about 2 Nolan Ryan baseball cards. But the bigger thing here is that the weight of the FalconEyes F7 II is 298 grams. It's not exactly lightweight. In fact, compared to this MC, it's practically heavy. It's like a full fat, full calorie model. But that makes sense because we know that it has a bigger battery and more LED diodes. I just don't know why they call it Pockelite. The build quality of both lights is really great, and I'm a stickler to avoiding crappy feeling film equipment. They're both super duper solid. The FalconEyes Lite is all metal, which is maybe why it's a bit heavier also, and the Aputure MC has some high quality plastics mixed in with some metal where it's important, like the quarter 20 that's down there, the mounting spigot. Both lights have a single quarter 20 at the bottom to rig it up, and they also have magnets. So if you have any bright ideas, you can rig this up to any sort of flat metal that you have laying around. Like if you have like an A-clamp from Home Depot, these can always come in handy. Stick it on like that, and then clamp this to whatever you want. Although I don't always see a need for having the magnets, it's nice to know that they're there. If you want to compare which light wins here, it's definitely the Aputure MC, because the MC is so lightweight that it doesn't need much strength to hold it. But it also has magnets on both sides, both left and right have magnets, whereas the FalconEyes F7 Mark II, it only has magnets, how do you say magnet 5 times fast, on this one side. So I maybe wouldn't trust this in quite as many situations and locations. Another thing both lights share in common is a screen to make almost any change you need to right there on the device itself. The Aputure MC has an OLED screen versus the older style LED screen that's on the F7 Mark II, but both serve the function they're designed to do just as well. The FalconEyes uses a dial, a squishy button, and a power selector that changes the modes, whereas the MC just has one dial and a power switch. So a few less parts there on the Aputure MC. Now, if the on-screen controls are a little confusing and maybe you want to adjust the light from behind the camera monitor, which is actually a great way to do it, that way you can see the amount or the effect that light's having on your scene. Each company has actually made their own Bluetooth app, mobile app, that's going to control the lights. And that's something brand new to the Mark II version of the F7 here from FalconEyes. Both the apps work over a Bluetooth connection and allow you to control multiples of their brand of light in the single app. So this is freaking cool. That way you could have multiples of that same brand in different areas and just control it with a single press of a button. And the challenge actually comes in when you start mixing the brands up like a FalconEyes and an Aputure. Then you have to use multiple apps. The FalconEyes app is called DeSal Lite, and it pairs very simply with each light having its own ID code. And the Aputure mobile app is called Sidus Link, which offers a couple advantages not found on the FalconEyes DeSal Lite app. By the way, I think it's odd they call it DeSal Lite, as in like it's some sort of free or lesser sort of app. It's actually their full-blown app. It's a little confusing is all. Anyways, the big advantage with the Sidus Link app from Aputure is you can see a battery percentage number. It tells you how much battery is left on your light. And it also lets you mesh together multiple lights on a set that's quite large. But that first one though, seeing the battery percentage when you're away from your light, it's huge. It can let you know if you can get that one more take before losing power. I would love to see them add that to the DeSal Lite app. Although maybe since this one has a bigger, longer lasting battery, it's less of a concern, but I thought I'd point it out. If you're interested in learning more about how all the mobile app functions work in either app, leave a comment and I might make a video that dives deep into the iPhone apps. And if you're new to this channel, I just want to say welcome. I'm Chadwick. This is Creative Video Tips, which is all about helping you create videos that make a difference and stand out. If that's something you're into, please click subscribe right down below if you haven't already done so you don't miss out on the new tip next week. Light modes. The most important part of any light is the CCT or correlated color temperature mode. And this is the one thing that the newer model, the Mark II of the FalconEyes F7 improved on. They added control for the green magenta shift. This will help you match other lights and has a very impressive Kelvin range from 2500 Kelvin up to 9000 degrees Kelvin, whereas the Aputure MC over here, it only goes from 3200 Kelvin to 6500 Kelvin, and it does not feature the green magenta shift. But in its defense, it can actually, you can match stuff using the Sidus Link app using a mode called Source Match. But again, you got to use the iPhone app or the mobile app. The FalconEyes here can increment the Kelvin degrees in 50 degrees at a time on the device, whereas the Aputure MC does 100 degree increments. But again, if you use the iPhone app or the mobile app, you can fine tune this further. The rest of the modes besides CCT are really all party tricks, but isn't that why you're looking at an RGB light to begin with? We have HSI modes on both of these, which is gonna allow you to define like a very specific hue, saturation, intensity. There's an RGB mode, which gives you like an 8-bit 0 to 255 range for color. Both lights can pull colors from real life using a color picker that uses your phone's camera to match. This can be useful to color like the product. You can grab the color of a product and use that as the background light. Super cool, kind of creative. The FalconEyes F7 Mark II has gel modes to mimic popular gels from Roscoe and Lee, which is new to the Mark II model, whereas the Aputure also has gel modes. They're just not branded specific like Roscoe or Lee. And again, the gel modes here on the Aputure have to be accessed from within the app. You can do that on the device here with the F7. Both lights feature what have become kind of standard special effects lighting tricks. Maybe that makes them a little bit less special. It's like if every kid gets a trophy, are they really special? The FalconEyes F7 II has 20 of them. I'll list them out right here on the screen. This is one thing that they did improve from the Mark I model is you can control the speed and intensity of some of these. But maybe they should consolidate. I don't know. I guess options are good. And the Aputure MC over here, it has 9 scene effect modes, which essentially give you similar results. So what do you get with these pocketable RGB lights? Pretty much all the stuff you'd expect, except for a adapter brick to charge into the wall. It seems like Apple has inspired other companies to cheap out here and give you only a cable. So with the F7 Mark II, you will get the F7 II Lite, a rubber diffuser, which is super important to blend together the individual diodes that can cause dozens of tiny shadows without it. I pretty much always use this. A grid, which is great to focus the light, and it kind of minimizes the spill and it gives you more direction with the light. I love that. A friction arm, cold shoe to quarter 20 adapter, USB-C cable, and canvas bag, so quite a bit there. In contrast, the Aputure MC comes with a diffuser, which again, you want to use that to minimize those diode shadows, a USB-C cable, a little canvas bag, and then some of these sticky Velcro attachments, mounts. So no grid, and that's kind of it there with the Aputure MC. Which light wins? They both have some great strengths. And I think if I was looking for something that could be used more as like a key light, kind of like this in a pinch, or I needed the longer battery life, I'd go with the FalconEyes F7 Mark II for sure. But if I only needed accent lights or background or hair lights and edge and fill for close-ups, the Aputure would and has worked great for that for me. Either way, you probably can't go wrong, but the biggest advice I probably can give you is to go with one single brand and then go all in with them. And if you did go with FalconEyes, they also have an F7 Mini, which is pretty similar to the Aputure MC, but it costs less. It's kind of like investing in lenses for a camera system. The reason I suggest going with one brand is because of the Bluetooth app controls you have by controlling all of your lights in one single app on set and then looking at the results through the camera monitor. That's freaking magic. Once you start needing to open one app and then close it and then open another app, that can get really frustrating really quickly. And me personally, I'm gonna continue using both of these lights along with the my big brother right here. This is actually another brand. I know, do as I say, not as I do. This is the Godox SL150 Mark II, and that's just because I'm frugal, they all work, and I personally wouldn't recommend mixing brands if you can avoid it because of the app thing. So FalconEyes, thank you so much for sending this out for us to take a look at and test out today. Clearly the Pockelite F7 Mark II is a great option for a portable RGB light. If this video helped you out in any way, please click the like button right now. And I have some affiliate links in the description, but down below, that helps the channel out and doesn't cost anything extra to you. And more importantly, check out this playlist I have right here. That way you can learn more about filmmaking and make better videos because there's so much to learn. So I'll see you over in that next video.